Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
The Department of Veterans Affairs is getting bipartisan praise for its resumed rollout of a new electronic health record, a multibillion-dollar project that has run into myriad problems since it began under the first Trump administration. The VA rolled out the system to new sites last month after a 3-year pause on deployment. Groups representing VA employees, however, say the latest facilities to adopt the new EHR are dealing with problems. Federal News Network's Jory Heckman is here with more insight. Jory, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Terry. Great to be here.
All right, so the VA has gotten back on the EHR rollout bandwagon. How's it going?
Well, from what we are hearing from the Department of Veterans Affairs, it's going well. These are deployments that took place back in April. These were 4 sites in Michigan, and that's significant on its own because this is the first EHR go-lives that we've seen in more than 3 years now. The VA had gone through this reset period, this pause in go-lives, to address some of the underlying problems with it. It's been one of these systems where it has been inundated with problems since the beginning. Back in 2018, when this contract was signed, there was an persistent issue with the system partially or fully going offline, problems with usability. It was persistently getting low usability scores from the VA clinicians who were moving on to this new EHR. And from what we're hearing from VA Secretary Doug Collins, he told lawmakers last week that the 4 sites are running well. He used the word phenomenal rollout for Michigan for these 4 sites. And of course, VA, everyone looking at this, they have been wary for these kinds of problems to take place, just given the history of this project. And so far, VA says that that's not occurring. Just to zoom out here quickly, VA is still got a long road ahead of itself for full completion with the Michigan sites. They're currently at about 10 sites. Full modernization, full migration to the new EHR would bring it to more than 170 sites. So at this point in time, the VA is looking to get this all finished up by 2031.
Jory, where did the bipartisan support come from?
In some pretty important areas, a lot of top Democrats on some important relevant committees here. Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee ranking member Gary Peters, senator of Michigan, where these EHR sites went live. He spoke at a separate hearing on appropriations for the VA, and they're looking to get substantial funding next year to continue the rollout. They're looking for $4.2 billion to continue the go lives. And so Peters says that everything that he's hearing is that this is a positive rollout, and he was encouraged to hear these things happening, of course, in his state. He did, of course, raise concerns about the VA's push to accelerate the go lives. They feel good about how things are going, and so they want to ramp up the cadence of how quickly these rollouts can occur. And case in point, the 4 go lives in Michigan that we've been talking about, they all happened concurrently. These usually in the past used to be one-offs, and so VA says you can expect to see more of that going forward. Also heard some praise from committee ranking member for the Senate VA committee, Richard Blumenthal. He's, of course, sparred with Collins on a number of management decisions that are happening under the Trump administration at the VA. And in this case, he said that he welcomed the department's commitment to advancing the electronic health record. And then, of course, Senator Patty Murray, the vice chairwoman of the Senate Appropriations Committee, did have some qualified praise on this, said that it appears that the new sites are going well, but sites in her state, Washington State, were the earliest ones to go live with the new EHR, and she says that they are still not 100%, still dealing with some of the lingering problems there, and Collins did commit to go back to those sites and address those problems.
This is a huge change for VA operations in any sort of clinical setting. How have they been doing in terms of getting the employees ready for this, and do the employees feel like they're ready for this?
Well, in a separate hearing last week, it was only the Democrats on the Senate VA committee. They heard from a number of groups about a number of issues. They were all really around the workforce, but they heard from members of the National Federation of Federal Employees, a union that represents VA employees, and the Nurses Organization of Veterans Affairs. also represents VA nurses. And representatives from both of those organizations raised concerns about the EHR. The NEFI representative said that the new sites are still dealing with some of the problems that the VA had seen in the past, that this is something that does take some time for these sites to get used to and acquainted to. And the Nurses Organization of Veterans Affairs representative said that there were issues with basically the new EHR sites talking to the old EHR sites, and then there's not 100% interoperability between those. So they raise concerns about this. It has been a long time sticking point that VA employees, as documented by the Government Accountability Office, they don't feel fully trained up and ready to handle this new EHR. It's a massive change no matter how you look at it. It's one of the biggest changes happening to the largest integrated healthcare system in the country.
Did Secretary Collins in his testimony address how they are bringing the employees up to speed or how they're going to resolve some of those concerns?
You know, the VA has spoken quite a bit about their commitment to staff up at these sites that are getting ready for the go lives. It is a massive commitment of resources, not just money and technology, but also people, making sure they are available on site or virtually to coach people through these changes and what that looks like. And in response to what these employees groups had to say about the EHR, we did hear from VA press secretary push back on a lot of those claims. He says that the VA under the Trump administration has rolled out about 1,500 enhancements, fixes to bugs, and new functionality that's been rolled out. And he said that the new EHR for the past 12 months, 10 of them, there have been no issues, no outages of any kind, and that over the past 18 months, the EHR has been running incident-free for 96.68% of the time, which is above a contractual threshold for the vendors involved.
Well, where do they go from here? Is there another state that's next or a broader rollout?
Bit by bit, this year alone, the VA is looking to have 13 go lives in total. So 9 others beyond the ones that we've been talking about. That'll be in Ohio, that'll be in Indiana, Alaska, some others as well. But those are the most immediate ones coming into focus here. And then next year, VA is looking to roll this out to up to 24 states. That's all happening in 2027. So this, even with the VA wanting to ramp up the speed and the pace of this, it's still going to be a multi-year production for this to fully wrap up.
That's Federal News Network's Jory Heckman. Jory, thanks for the update.
Thanks, Terry.
You can find his story at federalnewsnetwork.com.